Welcome everyone. My name is Walt Shomorn, Director of Digital Media here at scienceboard.net, and we're coming to you live from ISCT 2022. And I'm very pleased to be here with Dr. Delara Motlagh. She is the General Manager of Terumo Blood and Cell Technologies. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So I wanted to speak to you a little bit about Terumo, and we see how your involvement in cell and gene therapy space, but I really wanted to ask you more about the products that collect and process blood and cells that you guys do. How do you see your potential for blood and cell therapies to be the new standard of care?
No, it's a great question. I think when you think of cell and gene therapies, everyone is very excited about the potential of these therapies to treat a variety of diseases, and increasing the access to them will be very important. And part of that will be making them the standard of care or frontline therapies. Yeah. Today, many of them are kind of third to fifth line, and we're seeing those move upstream. So I think in order to get to that, it's showing the benefit of these therapies, but also it's increasing the access to these therapies across the ecosystem. And one of the things, so we touch the system in two really important ways, right, in general. One, at the point of collection in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So our Optia platform is the predominant platform that's used for apheresis collection. Mm-hmm. And we also have a number of automated solutions in the manufacturing environment. So we as a company touch both parts of that process. And so what we're looking to do is to help standardize the incoming product, yeah. Not only because it will give the patients a better experience when their cells are being collected, it also helps the hospitals, to make sure that they can work efficiently. It also provides a better product coming into manufacturing and consistency. And all of those taken together, and then of course, within the manufacturing environment, providing that control, consistency of product, because these are living drugs. Yeah. And so these are the ways that we're looking to help the developers be able to bring these products to market and to accelerate them into the pipeline.
It's really interesting to hear you say that, because it's one of the things that has been consistent in our conversations that we had this week is the necessity for standardization. Yes. And it seems to be something that is across all platforms within the sector that we're covering here for this week. It seems to be really a resonating focal point for a lot of companies that are here. So it's interesting to hear you say that. I know that you guys are here with doing work with researchers, and as you mentioned, from the hospital aspect. Can you give me a little bit on, Terumo as a company, who do you work with? Who are your partners? Who are your portfolio of collaborators, et cetera?
Sure. We work with a variety, right? So there's a pretty broad ecosystem in cell and gene therapy, and we cover a large ground. So predominantly for the manufacturing products, those that are going into the production of these life-saving drugs, we're working with developers. So these are pharmaceutical companies, biotechs, but also the contract manufacturing organizations that are producing these products, and then large academic institutions that are driving a lot of the clinical trials. Also, from a collection standpoint, we're working with the hospitals and the collection centers that are collecting the product and managing the patients. And then because we touch both parts of that process, we also sit in the middle, kind of helping to bridge some of the needs across the hospitals that are treating patients into the manufacturers that are developing the products. Yeah. So we touch that whole continuum, right, with a number of different stakeholders.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I know you guys were recently awarded a $10.6 million contract from the government. And going into kind of tying those things together, first of all, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But going into a little bit on the other side of things, on freeze-dried plasma development, what is behind that technology?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and so maybe pivoting from the cell and gene therapy space, we as an organization, we're diversified.
Yes.
So, everything starts with a drop of blood, not only to develop these drugs, but also as we think about freeze-dried plasma, we're committed to providing innovations that will really increase the quality of these different components of blood. And plasma has much utility. The challenge is that these components have a limited shelf life. And so in order for them to be able to be used in urgent situations, instead of having freezers and trucks and things that are maybe not as portable, freeze drying is a method to make it easier to use and accessible. So what we've done is we have closed that process to freeze dry and automated it. And what that will allow for is to increase the quality of the product, but also to easily reconstitute it to be used, particularly in urgent setting situation. In trauma, massive bleeds, plasma can be used to stop that bleed. And by having this technology, as you can imagine, there's a lot of utility for it.
Yeah, I think that, when I was doing some preliminary research on you guys as a company, I was just beyond impressed with how many touch points that you guys have in the whole. We talked about cell and gene therapy, obviously, that we're here at ISCT, but just generally where you guys cover a spectrum of so many different modalities. So I wanted to pivot away from Terumo for a second. We are here at ISCT. It's the first time that we've been in person since 2019 back in Melbourne, Australia. Last two meetings were obviously done virtually. Key takeaways. What have been your impressions so far of the meeting this week?
It's, I think, just echoing what you just said, it's been fantastic to see some of my colleagues that I haven't seen in so long in person, right? You have your planned meetings, but so much of the magic happens in the hallway when you run into each other. So that's been fantastic. But from a content, it's just incredible to me how much innovation is happening in this space. The science continues to outpace everything, and so we're all catching up. And at the end of the day, it's going to benefit patients.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's one of I remain very excited about the sector and all the great things that we're able to do. Things like gene editing and what that's going to do, not only for the current therapies, but for allogeneic therapies coming in the future. And access. I mean, there's so much focus that's needed to make sure that we have that access for patients. So it's been exciting.
Yeah, it is. As you mentioned, engagement has been great. The speed and scale of the sector has been, I'm seeing it firsthand, obviously. But it's been fantastic to be a part of it. Here from scienceboard.net, and we're very grateful to people like yourselves for taking time and your busy schedule and sitting down with us. I wanted to thank Dr. Delara Motlagh again from Terumo Blood and Cell Technologies, and thanks again for sitting down with us, Doctor.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care.